Welcome to the HarvestPlus Podcast, where we explore the intersection of agriculture, nutrition, and innovation to build a healthier and more resilient world. At HarvestPlus, we're committed to improving global nutrition by developing and delivering biofortified crops that develop essential vitamins and minerals to millions of people worldwide. Today, we are honored to have a very special guest, Ravinder Grover, the Global Business Manager at HarvestPlus Solutions. Ravinder has been at the forefront of driving our mission forward, and he will be sharing insights on the innovative strategies and initiatives that are making a significant impact. Let's get started. For our listeners who might not be very familiar, can you start by giving us an overview of the Harvest Plus solutions and the specific global challenges that you are addressing?
Thank you, Faith, for having me here. HarvestPlus
A pleasure.
Solution is all about scaling groundbreaking innovations, taking those ideas and making them reach to millions of people worldwide for a global impact. That's what HarvestPlus Solutions do. We live in a world where innovations are celebrated. Look at internet, look at vaccines, etc. But imagine if these innovations would have got stuck in a lab or a boardroom or would have been restricted to a particular city or a country, world would have been entirely different and not in a better way. So ideas are important, but equally important is the magic that happens when you take these ideas from pilot to actually to the lives of people where they start impacting them. And that's what Harvest Plus solution is all about. It's about taking these innovations, make them reach to the populations which require these innovations in everyday basis. At Harvest Plus Solutions, we are basically trying to bridge a gap between potential impact of an innovation and the actual progress that's being made. And it's sometimes the journey is very difficult. The ideas are good. Think of it like a seed, a good seed, which is not planted into a right place or not being given proper care. And that leads to a failure of a great idea. And so Harvest Plus solution is designed basically to work on the science and commerce of scaling. That's what we do. That's what is unique about Harvest Plus solutions.
Thank you very much, Ravinda. That's a very comprehensive introduction, but let's take a step back and see where this all began. What sparked its creation and how has its mission evolved since the early days?
A good question. In fact, Harvest Plus, this innovation actually dates back to around 20 years when we started our journey around biofortification. So it's not a new concept. When we started working on biofortification, we knew that in long run, we will need an organization which is flexible, locally driven, is more agile for creating a long-lasting impact. So this idea is an old idea, which Harvest Plus Solutions, inculcated as part of its long-term strategy. And so the original idea was obviously to fast track the progress on biofortification. But as we delve deep into the mission, we realized that Harvest Plus solution can go beyond biofortification and can actually solve for many innovations in agriculture and nutrition space. So our scope has expanded, and now we are focusing on groundbreaking innovation in nutrition, agriculture space, with an overall aim of benefiting millions of people from a gender, livelihood, climate, and nutrition perspective.
Thank you very much. So it's fascinating to see how the organization has grown. With so many organizations working in agriculture and nutrition, what would you say sets Harvest Plus Solutions apart? And what unique strategies do you bring to the table?
So what sets us apart? You're right, it's a crowded space. I think what sets us apart is our approach to scaling. And if I can use an acronym, I think our approach is bold, and it's very business-like, which means we do things like an established business does, systematic, strategically, and with an end game in mind. We're opportunity-led, which means we are not waiting for the opportunity to come. We are actively seeking out those opportunities in the market. And if need be, we are creating those opportunities. And very importantly, it's a localized approach. Every community is different. The requirements are different, and you cannot lift and shift scaling models from one place to the other. So you need to custom tailor your approach to the needs of the communities, and that's why this localized approach becomes very handy. So we run through a set of entities which are locally registered. We emphasize on local leadership. And lastly, it's a dynamic model, which means we are flexible, we are agile, and happy to adapt and evolve our scaling model as per the needs of the market. So yeah, what makes us unique is this bold approach, which ensures that scaling is rapid and sustainable.
Great. Can you tell us more about the regions and the communities where HarvestPlus Solutions is currently focused, and what factors have led you to choose these specific areas?
So we focus on global south, and the reasons are very obvious. A smallholder ecosystem, and these are the areas where malnutrition is a major problem. So currently in the phase one, we are focusing on countries like Kenya, Nigeria, and Africa. In Asia, we have registered entities in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Indonesia, and we are expanding to more geographies. And as far as communities are concerned, I think the key target groups for us are women, children, and the farming communities. As you can see, they are the most vulnerable ones that are at the highest risk. And when we work with these communities, the objective is not only to work on the nutrition status, but also to empower these people for a better health and livelihood.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And now, speaking of scaling, we know and we understand the importance of these communities, and we know that these communities are crucial. However, scaling your efforts must come along with its own challenges. What would you say? What would you say have been some of the challenges? What are the biggest challenges that you faced, and how has HarvestPlus Solutions overcome these challenges?
Like I said earlier, Faith, scaling is not easy. It comes with its set of challenges, both structural as well as operational. But I guess the key ones are actually more to do with the way we behave. The first one is most of the times the innovators or the inventors tend to hold their innovations very closely to themselves. We have a tendency to fall in love with our own ideas, and that becomes the biggest hindrance. So sometimes it clouds our objective judgment about the basic fact whether the innovation is scaling worthy or it's ready for scaling or not. I think that's the first key challenge that any scaling journey faces. The second one is about the timing of the handoff. There are multiple stakeholders involved in the scaling cycle. It starts with probably a research institution coming up with an idea, an innovation. The development sector comes at the initial stage, helping with the initial build of prototype, evidence generation, etc. But at some point of time, these innovations then need to be handed over either to the local governments or to the private sector. Now, many cases, either this handoff is delayed, again, for obvious reasons that people tend to keep their own innovations within their ecosystem for longer than expected, or it's done prematurely. In both the cases, the results are subpar, which means if you are doing the handoff pretty early in the cycle, then you end up giving an innovation which is not fully evidence-backed and not ready for scaling. And if you do it quite later in the time period, then you end up promoting innovations which have become obsolete by the time they hit the market. So yeah, I'll say firstly, finding the scaling worthiness and readiness of the innovations objectively is a big challenge. Two is timing the market is a big challenge. The third one is the collaboration. Again, as there are multiple stakeholders involved, scaling cannot be a sole operation. So there has to be a strong sense of collaboration among the stakeholders, which needs to be there for a successful scaling operation. And I guess as HarvestPlus Solutions, we are cognizant of these challenges. Our approach to scaling, that's why, has been driven by a set of frameworks, tools, etc., which help us with ensuring and mapping the scaling readiness of innovations, ensuring that the timing of handoff is proper, And lastly, a strong network which we have created in last 20 years, which encompasses more than 2,500 partners across the globe, which enables us then to create a right ecosystem for scaling innovations.
Good. Overcoming those challenges is definitely not a small feat. But looking ahead, as we look forward to the future, are there any upcoming projects or initiatives at HarvestPlus Solutions that you are particularly excited about?
There are many, and I'm excited about all of those.
Uh-huh.
So I guess some of the noteworthy ones are we have gained momentum in our collaboration with CGI, our portfolio performance unit. Uh, we did our innovation packaging workshops for high iron beans in Kenya some time back, and now we are going ahead with the two workshops in Nigeria around iron pearl millet and vitamin A maize. So very excited about that. Then we are making good progress on our school nutrition program. There's an increased interest from corporates, private sector foundations, governments around school feeding, and our model is pretty unique, and that's gaining a lot of momentum. We are also getting into nutrition approaches like dietary diversification, starting a program around kitchen gardens, getting into a large program around poultry, so which allows us to club various nutrition approaches so that overall health of the farmers and the consumer is being taken care of. And lastly, the most recent one is our upcoming program around soil health, which we are very, very excited about, using instant soil health kits, which not only provide a means to ensure that the soils are healthy, which are basic stepping stone for good human nutrition, but also ensures that this can be used as a means to create livelihood for the women entrepreneurs. So yeah, a lot of exciting stuff is happening in HarvestPlus Solution.
Yeah, definitely a lot that is happening. It sounds like a lot to look forward to, and I'm definitely looking forward. Now let's talk about collaboration across the sectors. How do you see private sector companies playing a role in complementing the efforts of governments and nonprofits in the fight against malnutrition? Do you have any examples of successful collaborations in this area?
I guess private sector has a key role to play when it comes to scaling. Governments and development sector organizations have done a reasonable job when it comes to developing strategies, building prototypes, testing them out, generating evidence for the nutrition approaches. When, like I said, when it comes to scaling, private sector has to play a key role, and it's important because for any idea to scale sustainably, there has to be a viable business model. And we are seeing these partnerships are very effective. I've been on both sides of the table, so I can tell you from my experience that most of the corporates mean well, and they do want to participate in the social initiatives. Most of the time, challenge for them is the struggle is to find the right set of NGO partners, or sometimes very basic lack of common vocabulary when it comes to interacting with the stakeholders on the government or on the development sector side. I guess that's where HarvestPlus Solutions comes into picture. We are acting as a bridge between the development sector and the private sector, ensuring that the interests are aligned, and then we join hands to create impact. I can see many success stories. Our program with Yara International around nutrition smart agriculture has done really well in India. Now we are expanding geographies and taking it to newer set of crops. Then our partnership with Bayer around the dietary diversification through kitchen gardens and nutrition education is about to take off. Then we have also tied up with organizations like COPCO International, who are helping us take the morning nutrition for the schools in a big way. So there's a lot of private sector engagement that's happening, and the response from them is really heartening.
Thank you very much. So for the young entrepreneurs or the young professionals who are eager to make a difference in agriculture and nutrition, what advice do you have for them?
I don't think they need any advice from us. They are the smart ones.
Okay.
If I must, my advice will be twofold. One, do not take shortcuts. we are in a space, agriculture and nutrition, which is for long term. And understandably, there's a temptation to for quick wins, but they are not going to take us anywhere. So we need to ensure that we take the right path, even if it's harder. The second advice from my side would be to then keep commitment to communities as your North Star. That's very important. If we take care of communities, investments and recognition will follow.
Thank you very much. So your insights have been incredibly inspiring. As we close, I want to thank you for sharing the story of HarvestPlus Solutions and the impact that you're making. Now, to our listeners, remember that every innovation and collaboration brings us one step closer to a healthier world. So thank you very much, Ravinder, for taking the time to be on our podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith.